We are now on the Apparition Hill. As you can see the statue of Our Lady behind me, marking the place of the first apparitions. Most of you know that the first day when Our Lady appeared here in Medjugorje was 24th of June 1981. And that's the feast day of John the Baptist. That's the day when the local people didn't do any work here in the fields. In the afternoon, 6 children from this village called Visionaries, the parish called Medjugorje, they gathered here close to this hill, and they claimed that suddenly they saw a beautiful woman on this hill who was waving to them to come closer. But since we lived in Yugoslavia at that time, this was a communist country, we didn't have any religious books, so those children never heard of Lourdes and Fatima and possibility that Our Lady could appear to anybody. So they did recognize her as Our Lady. They said to each other, "Look, there's Our Lady." But they all were confused and they all ran away back to their homes and their families. And they shared what happened to them. Despite the device given to them to not to talk about this, they decided to come back again to see what will happen. The following day, 25th June 1981, they gathered again and they saw her again. This time they climbed the hill, and for the first time they spoke to Our Lady and they prayed together with Our Lady. They asked her who she was, and she said, "I'm a Blessed Virgin Mary." They asked her whether she will come back again. With a nodding of her head, she said yes. So that's the beginning of the story of Medjugorje.
We at the moment are in the little hamlet of Jakov, which is a part of Medjugorje parish. The reason why we are here is of course because Apparition Hill is here, and Jakov is at the base of the Apparition Hill, and all 6 of the Visionaries are coming from this part of the parish. 6 of the Visionaries of Medjugorje were chosen by Our Lady and by God to be the first witnesses of Our Lady's presence. They were chosen to bring the message of Our Lady and the messages of Our Lady to all of us. And we thank God for them. And we thank Our Lady for choosing them, because they were all and have been in all these 40 years great instruments in God's and Our Lady's hands. Among the Visionaries, we have 4 girls and 2 boys. The girls are Vicka, the oldest one. She was 16 when Our Lady started appearing. And then we have Mirjana, Maria, and Ivanka. And 2 boys are Ivan and Jakov. The youngest one, he was only 10 and a half when Our Lady started appearing. Today, only 3 of them still have daily apparitions. At the beginning, every single day, all 6 of them were together, and Our Lady was appearing to all 6 of them. But in 1982, Our Lady stopped appearing to Mirjana on a daily basis. In 1985, to Ivanka, and in 1998, to Jakov. But Maria, Ivan, and Vicka, they have been having apparitions for 40 years now. And for 40 years, our Heavenly Mother is with us here in Medjugorje.
Mirjana, one of 6 Medjugorje Visionaries, is also quite close to Blue Cross in many ways. She is one of the visionaries who did not live in Medjugorje at the time when the apparition started in the summer of 81. She was here on holidays with her grandparents and her cousins. And as probably most of you know, she had daily apparitions only till Christmas of 1982. But she was given an extraordinary gift that from the time of 1987 to 2020, she was able to see and pray with Our Lady every second of the month. And many of those apparitions at the second of the month happen here at this Blue Cross, when thousands of people would gather in the morning hours to be present at the time when Our Lady appears to Mirjana the Visionary and when Mirjana prays for all those who haven't yet experienced the love of God. Mirjana is entrusted with all 10 secrets. She received all 10 secrets, and she wrote the most beautiful book about Medjugorje that we always highly recommend to all our pilgrims, Triumph of the Heart. Mirjana and the rest of Medjugorje visionaries do say that Our Lady said that here in Medjugorje she would finish what she started in Fatima, that her Immaculate Heart will triumph.
Again, we can see the statue of Our Lady and the cross beside her. This is the place of many apparitions of Our Lady as well, known as the Blue Cross, which is at the base of the Apparition Hill. The story goes back, of course, to the early years when the visionaries were hiding from the police and the hill became a restricted area. Nobody was allowed to climb it. And one evening, Ivan, together with some people, tried to climb the hill, and then suddenly Our Lady appeared and she warned them about police. Today, the place is also known as the place where Ivan's prayer group would meet and they would pray together as well. To many people, this is one of the favorite places here in Medjugorje. They like to spend some time here in prayer before they go, of course, to the evening prayer program, where the most important part of the pilgrimage we have, and that's, of course, Holy Mass. With a beautiful example, as a true mother, a teacher, as Father Slavko used to say that this is the school of Our Lady, she would always explain the importance, what is the most important in our life. Once during the apparition, Our Lady asked the visionaries, "Dear children, if you had a choice between seeing me and going to the Holy Mass, what would you do?" Of course, children replied, "Seeing you." But then, in a beautiful way, Our Lady wanted to show and say, then she said, "No, dear children, go to the Holy Mass. That should be the center of your life." Of course, we have our favorite places, but the most important part of our daily life should be the Holy Mass.
Now we are in front of the old house of Ivanka the Visionary. Ivanka was only 15 when Our Lady started appearing. Not only that this extraordinary event took place in her life, but something also very, very sad happened to Ivanka in 1981. Just 2 months before Our Lady started appearing, Ivanka's mother died of cancer. And then on the 24th of June 1981, when Our Lady appeared for the very first time, Ivanka was the first one to see her. We thank Our Lady for that great grace, because it was a great consolation for Ivanka to be with our Heavenly Mother after losing her earthly mother. On the 25th of June, 1981, when all 6 of the Visionaries climbed the hill together, when they were there in front of Our Lady when she appeared to them, they were asking her who she was. And she did introduce herself and said, "I'm the Blessed Virgin Mary." But Ivanka also had a question. And she was asking Our Lady, "Dear Our Lady, where is my mom?" All 6 of them, they said, that Our Lady in that moment smiled and said, "Your mother is with me in heaven." On the last daily apparition that Ivanka had on the 7th of May 1985, Our Lady entrusted her the 10th secret. And then Ivanka said that Our Lady was asking her if she had some special desire, something that Ivanka would like Our Lady to do for her. And Ivanka said that in her heart, she said she had only one desire and only one wish. And she said to Our Lady, "Dear Our Lady, I would like to see my mom one more time." She said that in that moment Our Lady smiled and her mother was there beside Our Lady.
This is the house of one of Medjugorje's 6 visionaries, Vicka. Many of you Medjugorje pilgrims are probably very familiar with the house because probably you, like us, remember the time when Vicka the visionary would be standing on these steps here, sharing with pilgrims about her experience and about the messages that Our Lady, the Queen of Peace, has been inviting us to. It's also very interesting to mention that a few weeks before the apparitions of Our Lady started in the parish of Medjugorje, here in front of this house, something quite unusual happened. Back in 1981, this was a poor village and people lived on the land. And Vicka's family here in front of the house would park their trailer. And one of the days, her youngest brother on a trailer found 2 rosary beads, which at that time in a communist country was very unusual. They thought that maybe someone, one of the elderly ladies, might have dropped it. They even asked the priest to announce it from the altar, and they were asking if anyone had lost them, but no one claimed for the beads. Few weeks later, Our Lady starts appearing here in this parish, and one of the children to whom she appears is Vicka the visionary. Her brother asked Vicka, "Ask Our Lady about the beads that I found here in front of our house," and Vicka the visionary did. Our Lady's answer was, "Those rosary beads are the gift for you and for your family." Our Lady of Medjugorje, the Queen of Peace, through the visionary has invited the whole world to the prayer of the Rosary. Our Lady asks of us to pray all 3 mysteries of Rosary a day. And many truly, through Medjugorje, have responded to her call to pray the Rosary.
This statue is also marking the place where Our Lady appeared once to the Visionaries, and a group of people were gathered here, and she gave a very significant message. Actually, through the apparition we understood the invitation, the message that Our Lady wanted to give to the people. What happened was, the day was the 2nd of August, and most of you know that this is the feast day of Our Lady of Angels, and all people who go to the Franciscan church, they pray for the intentions of Holy Father the Pope, then they get the plenary indulgence. On that particular day, when they were hiding from the police, it was late in the night, so it was not the regular time when usually they would go to the church and have the apparition, but Our Lady told them to come to this place and then they will have the apparition. So smaller number of the people joined them as well. And Our Lady appeared here, but suddenly during the apparition, everybody saw, actually they heard that one of the visionaries said that the invitation of Our Lady was that they can touch her as well. So they made a line, and then they were all touching Our Lady. Actually, what the visionary said, they were all touching her dress because they didn't know where to touch. What happened was that the visionaries were taking their hands and they were touching Our Lady's dress. But suddenly, Maria said, Our Lady's dress is getting dirty, because as people were touching her dress, they were leaving the stains on her dress. And then, of course, the invitation was that, because they asked, why is it so? And Our Lady replied, this is because of the sins of those people. And the invitation and reaction actually of the people was, we need to go for confession. Because on that particular day, if we already went to the confession, as I already said, we get the plenary indulgence. Medjugorje today is known as the greatest confessional in the world. Being here and listening to the stories of the people, for example, the stories of most of the priests that we meet here in Medjugorje, they said that the greatest experience they always had is actually hearing confession in the confessional boxes.
Many people would remember the story of Father Jozo as he shared about Jakov the Visionary. And according to the story, the old house of Jakov the Visionary was just a little bit behind this one. And since at that time, back in 1981, this was a communist country and Medjugorje was part of the communist country. Once they heard about the apparitions, communist government reacted straight away. The police was everywhere. The children had to hide for the moment of Our Lady's apparition. And one of those evenings, Jakov the Visionary hid in his old house for the moment of the apparition. The guard was in front of the house. But when the apparition was over, Jakov the Visionary realized that the message that Our Lady shared with him that night was to be given to the parish and shared with the people. He spotted that the guard fell asleep and decided to get out of the house to go to the church to share the message. Some of the people spotted him, and according to the story, he changed 3 cars. People hid him in the back of the car, and from the Apparition Hill area to the Church of St. James, barefoot little boy was just running to get to the Church of St. James. Evening time, Father Jozo is on the altar. The church is full of the people. Father Jozo spots little Jakov coming through the sacristy door, pulling him for the habit and saying, Father Jozo, I have a message for you and all the people from Our Lady. Father Jozo, realizing that little Jakov was so short that if he stood behind the altar, no one would be able to see him. So he took him in his arms, placed him on the altar, and said to Jakov, Jakov, share with us what Our Lady shared with you this evening. And Jakov, standing on the altar, shared with all the people and said, this evening, during the apparition to me, Our Lady invited us all to pray the rosary and to fast. Father Jozo asked the people, are we going to respond to Our Lady's call? And all the people answered, we will. Father Jozo said that forever in his memory, he will cherish the footprints of Jakov's little feet that were left on the altar as he took him back into his arms and put him next to him. Our Lady, through Jakov the Visionary that evening, invited us to pray the rosary and to fast. Soon she will say that we're invited to fast on Wednesdays and on Fridays. Jakov, one of 6 Medjugorje visionaries, was only 10 years old when the apparitions started. And he's the one who lost both of his parents at very early age in his life. And he basically grew up as an orphan. However, he always beautifully said that he actually grew up with Our Lady. And that's why he found very hard that after almost 18 years, back in 1998, daily apparitions for him stopped. But Our Lady said to him that he would have apparition once a year for the rest of his life. And isn't it amazing that Our Lady chose that that annually apparition for him would be December 25th, Christmas Day. As one of our priests said once, isn't it amazing that he who doesn't have his mother or his father is visited on that day when all of us go to see our parents or our parents come to us, he is visited by the Mother of God, and in that way, by God himself.
On the third day of the apparitions of Our Lady, 26th of June 1981, children decided they will climb up this hill on this side because they found it much easier to climb. They climbed, Our Lady appeared, they spoke to her, they prayed with her. Vicka even had holy water with her because one of the grandmothers advised them to do so, to be sure what they see is from God. Vicka, she didn't sprinkle. She poured the whole glass over Our Lady, saying, if you're from God, stay. If not, go away. Our Lady smiled, and of course, she stayed. After the apparition was over, they were going down, and one of the visionaries, Maria, was ahead. And this is the place where suddenly Maria saw Our Lady again. This time Our Lady was crying. And she gave the first message here in Medjugorje. And this is what Our Lady said. Peace, peace, peace must reign between God and man and among all people. The invitation is still the same today. Later we will speak more about the messages of Our Lady. We always say that's the essence of Medjugorje. But one question our pilgrims always have when they come here, when they hear that Our Lady gave even secrets to the visionaries. We don't know much about the secrets. It's going to be about the future events. But we know that Our Lady promised that one day Our Lady, she's going to leave a sign here on the Apparition Hill, something visible, indestructible, and not made by human hand. But she said, don't wait for that sign. That sign is going to be for those who didn't believe.